Good morning, Jobman Champions, and welcome to Lunch and Learn Volume 2. Today, we will be covering integrations with Jobman, how to set those up, and how to get the best out of them for your software and your business. We're trialing a new format for our webinars, especially the Lunch and Learn series. We want to focus more on the educational component of the webinar itself and really help you tick the boxes to make sure that your steps are done in a good order so that your software is set up in the best possible way. So let's dive in. Currently, the main three integrations that Jobman has are accounting software, cloud file storage, and a number of CAD CAM packages. There are plans to build out some more integrations in the future, including supplier integrations, which I'm sure many of you heard of, and other integrations, including API integration via packages such as Zapier to be able to connect your Jobman out to a variety of packages and software platforms around the world, which is very exciting. But today we're going to focus on the main three. So the main checklist for today that we hope you can tick off by the end of this video is how to understand the connections around what accounting software package will do when talking to Jobman, what your cloud file storage will do, and the benefits of the CAD integrations, and then how to connect those. Our current integrations for accounting include MyOb and Xero. Our cloud file storage integrations include Dropbox, OneDrive, and Google Drive, and also the ability to utilize SharePoint. So if you have a localized NAS or storage device on your premise and you prefer to use that over a cloud file option, as long as you have a Microsoft account, you'll most likely have SharePoint as part of your package, and you can use that to then access your local network storage rather than have to have another cloud file package, which is good. There are plans to develop more in the future. I'm sure this list will increase. However, for now, these are the main ones we're going to focus on today. So as always, we'll be jumping in and tackling and having looking at the settings so that you know exactly where to go, what information you will need to be able to connect these up, and more importantly, what changes you might need to make in the software. None of them are particularly difficult. You don't need to be an IT specialist to be able to work out integrations. We've developed and built the platform intentionally to make this a very easy process. In fact, it's one of the first things we recommend every client does when they come into the software is connect these up so you can start getting the benefits virtually immediately. Anything we cover today, obviously, is being recorded, and this webinar will be put live very shortly after its conclusion. We'll make sure that anyone that was on our registered list who was not able to make today will also get a copy. As always, it's important to note that everything we're going to cover today is inside the in-app help in the software. One of the big moves for us this year has been enabling Zapier integration via our Open API. What this means for anyone who doesn't know what Zapier is essentially you can utilize Zapier to connect to Jobman, and it acts as an intermediary, which means you can connect via the API into about 5,000 other programs around the world. So I think that's an important note to make with software platforms going forward is why do we need integrations? And integrations really are about saving your company for double handling and doing our best wherever possible to make sure we're focused on producing the best software in our lane that we can. I don't believe in the idea of a one-size-fits-all software package. For example, accounting softwares like Xero and MyOb are extremely good at what they do. So there isn't much point to try and replicate those and replace those in our software. We're better off connecting to your existing systems, providing information back and forth through a two-way sync, saving you a lot of double handling so that you don't have to be in and out of both programs. But most importantly, allowing your accounting software, for example, to do what it does best, and then Jobman to do what it does best. So let's jump in and have a bit of a look. The first thing we're going to cover is the cloud file storage. So the cloud file storage integration, we're going to focus today on just showing you how to set that up and what benefit that brings into your software. So the cloud file storage integration is designed around having and allowing file structures inside Jobman connected to your local network or your cloud file which means finding information relevant to jobs, leads, contacts, and organizations become very easy. More importantly, Jobman will create template folders in each of those areas in contacts, leads, jobs, which will allow you to put information via Jobman into those folders, and then the team can access them without then needing for you to give them access directly to your company OneDrive, Dropbox, for example. So this really gives you a solid central point where you can store the data relevant to each of those areas in one place. The team can access it without being able to access the rest of your file storage solution. And we definitely recommend when setting up the software, this should be your first step. Step in, set up the cloud file, connect up, and then the added benefit will be is when we take the second step and get that checklist done, that process of developing, creating those files for each of those areas will happen straight away. There's a fourth benefit to the integrations, and that is we provide a very specialized file folder called shared. And you'll notice that once you connect up, it's bright red. It's hard to miss. And the idea behind that is the folder where we can set information and drop and drag files into so that our kiosk members can access them. So even our team who don't necessarily have front-end office user licenses will be able to access important information documents such as specs, drawings, CADs, JPEGs, anything really relevant to that job or lead or contact. The fifth benefit, which is in my mind one of the best benefits to the integration, is job alerts. And basically they're pre-formatted forms that the team can go in. They simply use the drop and drag menu to choose, the drop down menu to choose which alert they'd like to present. Jobman will automatically register the time, date, and the person lodging it, and they can take multiple photos. Those photos then get stored in your software. Whoever you've decided receives an alert or a notification around that job alert being provided, and then you can action those. But it does mean that your file storage will then contain all those photos or documents. So that's definitely a big one, and definitely why we recommend setting this up early. So you get a lot of benefit. We'll obviously be covering job alerts in more detail in another webinar, but that's a huge one. The sixth benefit is organization files. So you can see just to the left here, we've got a separated section on your left-hand user menu panel called files. This is a great area for you to store organizational files, whether they be procedures, HR documents, or even marketing material that you commonly need the team to add into emails going out from contacts or leads or quotes or purchase orders. This is where, again, you can have those stored. Anyone with the front-end user access can see those files, attach them to emails really easily, and then keep everything running in a nice, smooth format, again, whilst protecting your cloud file storage. So how do we connect? Very easy. Go into settings, go into cloud file storage, choose your tenant. So that might be Dropbox, certainly one of the better options. A lot of companies use OneDrive as it comes free with Microsoft. Google Drive as well is a big one for a lot of our clients. So you choose your tenant, we connect to the software, and then because we use API integration, basically this will set you to basically log in with your other software and allow Jobman access. It's that easy. So if you want to make this process fairly seamless, our recommendation is to open another tab, log into either your Dropbox or your OneDrive or your Google Drive. It's important that whoever has master, there's documents in there as well. If you want to utilize the SharePoint, you can come into the help documentation. And if you, like I said, do want to be able to find out how to connect up your cloud file storage via SharePoint to connect to a localized area, you can use this document to follow the same process. Again, it's not complicated. You don't need to be an IT specialist. We're basically simply creating and pointing to a directory file list in your system. So that's the first step. Connect up your cloud file. That'll work seamlessly in the background. It'll start doing its job as soon as you start adding leads or jobs or contacts into the system. And that's why we actually recommend do this first, because the second part will be connecting to your accounting. And in that process, because we're going to pull through your contacts, it'll automatically start generating those folders. So let's cover the second part, which is the accounting software integration. So currently our major accounting integration partners are Xero and Wile. We do have further plans to also outreach to QuickBooks Online, and the list may go on from there as clients come on board and have different needs. So that's very exciting. But both of those utilize what we call an API model. They connect up seamlessly, which means we don't share passwords. It's a very important part around the protection and security of both your accounting and Jobman. Is the connection is not made where we share passwords or store that information. So it's very important. Both systems are separate. What we're doing is we're allowing Jobman access. Now, the most common question we receive is, what does Jobman interact with my accounting software? For example, if we connect up, is it going to bring through 40 years of invoices and purchase orders and data that I might not necessarily want Jobman having? And the answer is no. Jobman connects to your accounting software and then interacts with it in a synchronous manner in 4 areas. So the first area is contacts. So this will include your contacts, whether they be residential, commercial, etc. Doesn't matter, we can handle multiple contact types, and your suppliers. When we connect up, the first thing that will happen is all your contacts will start flowing into our software. So you don't have to worry about setting those up. It's a big time saver. And they will link up, which means changes made in Jobman or changes made in your accounting software will then keep each other updated, which is really good. The second place we interact is to save you double handling. We bill any invoices or purchase orders built in Jobman and then created to the invoice status, draft, and then submitted will go up to your accounting software. So the benefit of that is to save you double handling. You come into our software, you follow the process, you lead through a lead process, you quote, and then on an accepted quote, we can then build multiple invoices. However, they sit in a draft status in Jobman, and it's only when you're ready to submit up to your accounting software and then go out to the client for payment, or in the case of purchase orders, come in and obviously send them up to your accounting software so they can be paid. That's the point at which you submit them, they get pushed. Now, the interaction is two-way. So again, in this particular instance, your accounting software is the master. So it will come back and it will override Jobman's invoice numbers and purchase orders numbers so they stay in line with your accounting software. Main reason being is your accounting software is designed to receive and give payment. That's its primary designation in life, as well as handle your tax. So it handles that side, it goes out to the client, gets paid, comes back in, you reconcile in your accounting. And again, seamlessly in the background, it will tell Jobman that invoice or that purchase order has been paid. So you don't need to worry about updating that information. It saves a lot of double handling, but it also provides that two-layer separation in your business. So people without access to your accounting software can still help move leads and jobs forward by creating invoices. They can receive goods and then create purchase orders without ever having access to your accounting software. And that will seamlessly sync up, arrive in your accounting software, and then whoever's in charge of your accounts or your accounting software can push those forward, get paid, everything moves forward. But it means you don't have to then quote and, for example, then go in and build an invoice in Xero. We'll take care of all that for you, which is really important. It's really good, but it's also worth understanding only information seeded in Jobman will then sync. So we're not going to pull through historic data. Big time saver, but plenty of layers of protection for your business. The third area we interact with is payroll. And this is an option. You don't have to choose it, but it's an option in our software, being that you can utilize the software to measure time and attendance. In fact, it's a big part of an ERP is building and gathering data to be able to come in and measure quotes estimated versus actual via job costing. Since we're trapping all that time, it's important to note that we can utilize that to push payroll reports into your accounting software. So again, saving a lot of double handling. And being that Jobman is flexible enough to handle internal tasks, staff leave, we can marry up those codes. All that information can be pushed up, saving you hours and hours and hours of time for your time and attendance handling in your payroll. Again, it's not a forced part of the issue. You can choose not to have that sync happen, which is important. In fact, any of the 4 areas we touch, so contacts, invoices, payroll, etc., you can choose to turn them on or off. Those are the 3 main benefits. We'll keep the information live between the 2. The last one, of course, is staff and then pay rates. So this gives us the ability to pull through your staff listings and help with that payroll side, and we can keep those up to date. So the settings side, common question I get is how much do I actually have to set up to get the software working? And the answer is very little. So the beauty of the way our integrations are built, again, when you sign up for the software, you choose your accounting platform, we will do a lot of the pre-configuration in the background. Where the differences tend to happen are quite often regionally based. For example, the dependence on your account types and how they work in your area may be slightly different. But again, any of this information is very easy to marry up with your accounting software. You'll be able to find these codes in your accounting software, make sure Jobman matches them, and then when we start syncing this information and sign up, it will work. The benefit of that system really is that most of the background information is set up. We're very comfortable with our APIs. We know mostly what those softwares are looking for, and that all should really change. It's just minor differences between the two types. So again, settings, accounting, under here, you're going to find pretty much everything you need to be able to look for, such as your payment terms, invoice statuses, invoice item types, even invoice types and tax types. Tax types is a big one. Obviously, every country is slightly different. Now, I'll mention here, and this is an important point of difference as to what that configuration might look like and how easy it is. In Australia, the GST on income and expenses are listed to a code in Xero called input and output. In New Zealand, they're input 2 and output 2. I think in the UK, they're input 1 and output 1. So if you were in those countries, for example, that information is available on Xero. It's very easy then to update this information, change the code, and then modify your tax rate. So if you have different GST rates or you don't use GST in your country, it's not a problem. It's very easy to modify, change, and have that sync still working. So it's a very flexible, good system. So that's the main areas we touch. That gives you hopefully a good understanding of what will happen when they connect up. So we'll pull through your contacts, staff, etc., build up those links, but no historic data is going to come in. Only data going forward that you see it in Jobman will connect up, which is very important. So actually connecting is very easy. If you'd chosen Xero when you signed up or Mob when you signed up, this will have that connection. You can see that the automatic sync to begin with is contacts, invoices, and staff. It does not include the timesheets. It's because, as I said, a lot of clients don't want to utilize the timesheet or payroll integration with Jobman. That's fine. However, if you do want it, nice and easy, simply click this button. And then when you connect up the two, we'll also send across timesheet information. The sync in between Jobman and accounting is fairly regular. Virtually every minute they go looking for each other for information. So we'll stay up to date very well. But in most of those areas in the software, you can force a sync at any point, which is good. And then connecting again is very easy. So once you connect, click this connect button to your accounting software, it will take you to a page which basically says, do you give Jobman authorization to connect to this accounting? It will give you the option, if you run multiple accounts, to choose which of your accounting packages will now link to this organization. So don't worry if you run multiple companies and you have Jobman for, say, your joinery company, but not your building company, and you have a Xero linking that's different between your joinery and your building. It's not a problem. You just simply connect the joinery company to your joinery Jobman, for example, or builder to builder. Not a problem. So we can link them in. It is worth noting that Jobman is like accounting packages and other software in that one ABN has to link to one ABN. And that's because of accounting. For reporting purposes, you need to link one company to one company. So we can't link Jobman, for example, to multiple Xero companies because that would be illegal. So we've taken all that into account for you, nice and easy. And then it will ask you to authorize Jobman, and you connect and say, yep, I'm happy, authorize Jobman to give access. And seamlessly in the background, that data will start doing what it's meant to do. So we'll start pulling through your contacts, suppliers, staff, for example, all syncing in the background. And it's very quick. Even if you have a large contact list, I've seen this happen. It's very fast. Now, tips and tricks. I guess that's what webinars are really for. Highly recommend before you take the second step that you take a moment to quickly clean up your accounting software. A lot of clients have data in their accounting software for, say, 30 or 40 years. They've got contact lists that haven't been looked at in the last 10 years. You might have people in there you did business with once back in 1993. You don't really need that data coming in. Not that it will hurt the system. We can take that data on. It's not a problem. However, for a lot of people, they sort of go to do this connection and then they realize, oh, there's 7,500 contacts in there. I don't really need that many in Jobman. I'd rather a cleaner start. So top tip and trick, if before you do this process, you actually want to go in and quickly clean up your list. I think most accounting softwares have an easy export function, so you can export out to CSV, quickly run through, delete out a heap of data, and suck it back in, clean up your software, or archive, I think is common. Then that will come in a more clean sense into Jobman. Last tip and trick that I'd like to share about accounting software is we have very good error messaging built into our system. Basically, we go looking for things. If something isn't quite set up right, we're pretty good letting our clients know where the problem might lie and where to fix. Most of those problems generally lie with the accounting software themselves. Something might not be set up properly, a tax code might not line up, etc. It'll be very easy now for you to come into this area under settings accounting and look for those bits. In order for timesheets and payroll to work, the last part of this setup that we are unable to do for you, but it's a very quick configuration for you to do, is pay rates. So pay rates in Jobman currently are built around codes and types. So rather than distinct numbers or people, we link them up much like your accounting software does to a pay rate award. So for example, in your Xero, and you'll be able to find these, they're very easy, you might have pay rate awards for assembler, 27, 29, 30, 32, 34, 36. And that covers your range of staff. So when your staff come on, you link that pay rate to that staff member in Xero. That's their pay going forward. Jobman works basically the same way. So we don't actually track the exact number of information. So you're not telling Jobman what you're paying everybody. Again, we want to keep that data separate. But we do want to be able to tell your accounting software, when you utilize timesheets, how then does those number of hours match up to those pay rates? And that's how you do it. You come in here, you can set up as many as you want. And then when you have a staff member that's synced into Jobman, or you've entered them separately, you then simply apply that pay rate. Now, every single time that staff member does productive hours in Jobman and it syncs up to your timesheet, you can read that pay rate and send that information with that staff member. Keep in mind, again, your accounting software is the boss. So if you have staff that are not paid on productive hours, they're paid on salary, for example, it'll still bring in those timesheets, but it'll just ignore them and pay the salary out. And you can set up those salary base in Jobman so it sends that information. Xero knows what it's looking for. It's also how we use these codes for leave types that you can apply to operations. So you can simply drop and drag an operation into the Jobman timesheets, and that will link up to leave types such as sick leave, annual leave, carers leave, or even tech trade if you have people going on apprenticeships, for example. So if you're not planning on using the pay rate bit, I'll try and brief through this. It's only take about a minute, but I just want to quickly cover this so that people know where to go to make these work. The second part to setting up your actual pay rates is we need to set up our awards. So awards is simply, and you'd be very, very familiar with this information in your accounting software. How do we tell Jobman once they reach a certain number of productive hours, what pay scale to send them to? So for example, if in your company for the first 8 hours worked Monday to Friday, it's normal hours, 1 times. But then if they work 9 to 10 hours or the extra 2 hours on top, they get time and a half. And sometimes you might have them do Saturday works. If they work a couple of hours on Saturday, we'll pull it through at time and a half. Any time worked beyond that point is double time. So this is very important. Quite often we get support tickets about this, which is, I've linked up my staff, I've linked up my pay rates, I've linked up my accounting. Why aren't my timesheet rates going properly? This is the most common area where we get questions about. So just make sure you've set up your awards, and you can set up multiple. So it's not as though you have to worry about having multiple different types of awards. So if you have staff that run 24-hour shifts, for example, and they work on set hours up to say 12 hours and then the bonuses kick in, you can have a secondary award for them and link that in. So it's a very clever little system. It's nice and easy to set up, not too stressful. This is where you'll find the information, settings, staff, pay rates. Again, you can go into help at any time and look that up, and it'll direct you in this area. But that's the main area of the accounting that you may need to jump in and just spend a few minutes on. The rest should flow through from the API setup, which is really good and really easy and fast to get you moving. So it's nice and easy. You don't need to be an IT specialist to get this stuff done. You may need to consult with your accountant if you have very particular ways you've set up, for example, account codes and staff types in your accounting software. I know Maya was a bit of a beast around that. So it's worth spending that 5 minutes with your accountant to come in and then double check that these make sense, even put them side by side. So have Jobman on one screen, your accounting software on the other, and just make sure all those things line up. And if something doesn't work, the error message is extremely good, and it should direct you in the right way, which is excellent. So that covers the two big first initial setup wins that you can get with the software. Come in, connect up to your cloud file, start building that solution, connect up to your accounting. Now we've got contacts in there. We've got staff, so we can start pushing out to their roles and their kiosk mode, which we'll cover in further webinars. But even just off the bat, because you have a seated site, you can come in, you've now got a contact, you can try playing with a lead, a job. Just these two very simple tasks can get you up and running with the software really fast, which is awesome. The third area, which we're not going to cover in massive detail in this webinar because there's a bit of setup behind making these into other integrations work. But these are the integrations for our CAD packages, or our currently supported CAD packages. So the most important thing to note around this, and the most common question I get, is do I need to pay for each of these individually? And the answer is no. If you take the $50 add-on onto your software each month, I believe it is at the moment, you can have as many of these linked as you want, although keep in mind that the way the software is set up, which we'll cover later, they could mismatch with their interactions. However, it's very common that people have a design software and then a CAD software, CAM software for their CNC. So you could have, for example, 2020 Design Live for your quoting and estimating team and sales team. Suck that information into products and quotes, and then use your CAM software to optimize your raw materials via, say, Cabinet Vision, for example, and pull that into Jobman. So these are very good. There is a little bit more setup behind these than simply plug and play, like with the cloud file and the accounting. However, again, not massively difficult. We'll cover this in a future webinar and really deep dive in how to get the best out of your CAD CAM solution with Jobman, which is awesome. But just so you know, the two main areas where these interact is quoting, basically bringing in products for fast quoting. If your process is design first, then quote, you can literally create quotes in minutes, which is fantastic. And then also raw material reporting. Again, there's a lot more work going in the background as we talk to multiple CAD companies around what else we can bring in via their reporting systems, and there's a big future here. Plus, this list is ever expanding. So if you are currently with Jobman and you can't see your current CAD package on here, it's worth letting us know who you use. Absolutely send that through to us. We're always interested, but there's a good chance we might already be working on an integration structure with them. So this is an ever-evolving list, which is excellent, but is also an optional extra. So this is not included in the packages for the reason that it may not be relevant to your company or your industry for that matter currently. So we're certainly not going to charge you for something you can't use, which is excellent. So I think that pretty much covers the majority of the integration setup, the needs, the uses, and the touch points of where that information is and where it sits. If you have any further inquiries around that information, I encourage you to jump in, have a look at the docs. Just so you know, when you're in the help documentation settings, if you click on a document, it actually takes you to our full documentation area, or the same with our YouTubes. So if you're looking to save those and bookmark them, so you've got a quick, easy reference point to get this information without having to rely on it just being in the little screen on screen, you can do that. We definitely encourage it. And same with the YouTubes. Definitely save that YouTube, subscribe, and stay aware, because as we bring out new features, do more webinars, deep dives, have conversations with other suppliers, but most importantly, provide as much video I guess, documentation as we can to support our client base. That will be all on YouTube, all publicly available. So you can go in, save those links and check them out. So that pretty much covers today. We do have a couple of questions in here. If you have another system generating invoices in Xero, i.e. online shop, can Jobman pull that invoice from Xero into a job in Jobman? Not currently, so it doesn't work backwards. Like I said, part of our protection methodology is to ensure that the invoicing structure and purchase ordering structure and financials are not brought in on a historic basis, only information seeded in Jobman. I think the better way of tackling that sort of solution in the future would be to allow our clients to actually link their websites into Jobman so that leads can then be started and the invoices can be created. But that is certainly an interesting question. I know it will probably never likely come backwards, because otherwise we'd be opening ourselves up to the liability risk of pulling in extraneous data from your accounting software. Not everyone wants that, especially if you're trialing the software. You don't want to come in and have 30 years your invoices pull through, and it's one of those areas where we can't really choose. However, Xero, I happen to know, has a very good API. I'm certainly not going to rule that out as a possibility in the future. How does Jobman feed purchases inventory info into Xero? Great question. So because Jobman manages your inventory control and your purchase ordering with your suppliers, one of the things we do is we link up your purchase order accounts to your general expense accounts. What will happen is when goods are received from a supplier into Jobman digitally, this is something we will definitely be covering in a further webinar, because it's an important, fantastic part of the software. When those goods are received, we have the opportunity then to create a purchase bill, or I think Xero calls them invoice, but they're actually a bill. And then we can sync those up to your accounting software. So this gives two layers of transparency and automation. The first layer is the ability for you not to have to double enter. You don't have to worry about your supplier invoice. Your pricing is in Jobman via your catalog, so that will go up. But it also then allows a second checkpoint, which most companies don't have. Most companies currently rely on their accounting software sort of to manage their inventory, and it's not very good. It's not built for it, which means when prices change, it's really hard to deal with. And what happens is purchase ordering departments quite often simply override numbers, which is problematic. So with Jobman, the difference will be is we'll push up an invoice for you so you can compare the pair, basically. And if there are changes, it gives you an opportunity then to come into Jobman and update your actual cost control centers, which means all your quotes, purchase orders, and job raw material reports going forward will work far better. And then we will still continue to provide Xero or MyOb with the information they need, which is general expense accounts and where those purchase orders are coming in, which is really good. So yeah, very, very good system, a lot of automation. Are we able to access Lunch and Learn #1 if we weren't signed up to that webinar? Absolutely. So there's two ways of getting to it really easily. Number one, go onto YouTube and you can look up Jobman Software. I think it's at Jobman Software. That's our YouTube channel. You can subscribe. On there, you will find about 65 or so videos that are linked into the document. So all the short videos on how to set things up quickly, plus our webinars, plus some previous historic webinars. So you'll be able to find the Lunch and Learn Series 1. And then as this series works out to 12, all 12 will be in that playlist for you. So it'll be nice and easy to find. If you are new to Jobman, obviously you've probably looked at the webinar format, and it's sort of every 2 weeks at the moment. It is going to be a very in-depth dive. Like today, we'll cover each section really well to make sure that you get the best out of your software. However, you may want to go full steam ahead. So please don't feel like you have to hang back and just be waiting every 2 weeks to jump on a webinar to be able to move forward with setting up your software. The help is there already. The documents are there. The idea behind this series is simply just to take another leveled look at that information. And for some companies, they sort of are looking for that how to or why to. Not so much the where do I click. Documentation is very good for that. But, you know, like I said, the very common questions we get around the accounting software: what does it touch in my package? And it's hard to document all those questions. So that's the advantage of these. But certainly don't feel like you're tied into just having to wait for this period. You can definitely move forward, and you can always reach out. And we do sell training packages as well. So if you need some more one-on-one support, it is there, plus the support line and help documentation. Thank you very much, everyone, for jumping on. We really appreciate your time. Anyone that's registered to this will receive a copy of it as well. And then that will also have a link to our YouTube so that you can go subscribe to the channel and find other videos and other webinars we've done in the past, including, most importantly, Lunch and Learn Volume 1. I certainly hope you have a fantastic day and keep enjoying your software, and I'll see you in the next one in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Have a great day.